Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for today, and this is going to be the first of many, a part of the new episode released on test server, Justice League Dark Cursed. This is going to be the Elite Solo Town Square Theater. Now, plenty of you are going to have questions in terms of like when the release date is, what the max CR is, everything else, artifacts, allies, OP item. I'll be covering that all in a series of videos. So we've got the solo, we've got the alert, we've got the raid, we've got open world bounties, there's new allies, new artifacts, so everything and to do with the episode will be released. Now in terms of the actual date itself, we don't have that information as of yet. Most likely, there's always like a website called Comic CBR that leaks the release date early, and then basically it shows up on the forum, so I guess we'll have to wait for that. But if it follows a typical test server schedule, then it'll be about 2 weeks. We also have the Halloween seasonal on test server at the same time, so that most likely will come out at the very beginning of October, because there's not too much to worry about that one. But they could be waiting a little bit longer on the episode just to make sure that released with no issues and had proper feedback. So overall first impressions is that there's a lot of promise. Much more than shock to the system, that's for sure. So that's why, like, I'm gonna hold my feedback until obviously I've run all the content and had more experience and seeing how the developers are gonna take feedback. But really, it certainly shows a lot of promise. So for the Elite Solo itself, once again, it's actually a really nice solo. Usually my concerns with like solos and duos is that they kind of artificially extend the duration by just adding a whole bunch of like allies, NPCs that you fight in the hallways. Even though there's those 3 grouping of ads that will fight, they still go by very quick. You can always race to the end and fight them all together too if you wanted to, just to save a little bit of time, but it's to the point where it doesn't feel like it's a hindrance. And in terms of the boss fights themselves, you're fighting Wonder Girl and Zatanna. Essentially the premise is that Hecate turns them into your ideal gothic girlfriends, and you have to fight to choose which one you want. That's essentially the premise. But the fights are structured in a way that if you slack off, you certainly have a chance to die. It's not like it's an overly difficult Elite Solo, but there's plenty of elements that they do high damage, they do plenty of channels and interrupts, there's plenty of like AoE damage. So it's something that where if you're not paying attention or playing properly, you could certainly wipe a few times on the boss fights, which is the interesting part. And then even with the overall duration, it's only about like, I think this video was like 7 minutes, so it's the solo itself is going to be like maybe 5 to 6 minutes once you're geared, which is very acceptable. I mean, a 5 to 6 minute solo is not bad. And then if you're struggling on damage or anything like that, they may turn into like 10-15 minute one. So it's certainly very promising. The solo, I have no issues with it. The other actually really interesting part of the solo, there's a whole bunch of feats in here. The solo instance has about 3 skill points, and a lot of them are elite feats, which is something I was not expecting. There's 3 3-star elite feats a part of the solo. Usually they do like 1 or 2 elite feats a part of like a solo or duo, or it's just like do the same thing you did in normal and then do it again in elite. But there's certainly I think there's 2 of the feats where you have to block all the attacks. So basically like the skull attacks, or there's a certain attack type from both Wonder Girl and Zatanna, and you have to make sure you block each one, which is an interesting concept. So it's basically, you can't just ignore it and you have to block if you want to get the feat. Not like it's an overly difficult feat, but well, it's a 3-star, so I can't say at the moment. I'm sure you're taking a lot of high damage, so you want to make sure you can heal or take a shield or something like that. But it's an interesting premise for a feat where you have to block all the attacks that you should have to block to be able to get the feat and still complete it. But other than that, it's you basically fight some ads, fight Wonder Girl, fight some ads, and then fight Zatanna. And then there's a lot of commentary too, kind of setting up the end. So actually I think it's a little bit faster for solo because I stay at the end so you guys can read the commentary. But I know that doesn't help all because I kind of keep continuing. I always have that bad habit of continuing to talk throughout the actual instance as well. But yeah, I mean, you can see the subtitles and run it at one test. But it's certainly speaking into the overall as well, there are some recycled maps. Like people are going to recognize like some of the hallways, and I mean this instance too, it's from I forget that one alert with like Future Batman or something like that. But the recycled maps or the parts of the maps they take are actually well done. You don't really feel, you don't get that sense where it's like, oh, I've done this, I've fought in this room dozens of times before. A lot of it, because it's tied to magic and kind of gates, and even Justice League Dark Curse, like the House of Mystery, stuff like that, we only had like one episode release or a couple of Trigon elements to that. So it's not like that's overused as well. But even the raid elements you'll see that they take from Gates of Tartarus, most of the play race doesn't run Gates of Tartarus. I mean, there's an alert into, I think there's 2 alerts a part of Gates as well, or take elements of the Gates map. But it's something that's so old that, you know, most players aren't going to recognize that map. And even the veterans that do recognize the Gates map haven't run it enough or run it so long ago that they forget about it and it kind of feels new. So really, obviously it's acceptable that we're always going to have recycled elements, but I think they did a really good job of implementing new map aspects and the recycled ones together so that you don't feel that you've run the content endlessly. So for the kind of the end here, I'll kind of shut up so you guys can read the commentary. Kind of sets up the alert, but look forward to all my videos. Certainly, you know, I don't normally ask you guys to subscribe, but certainly if you're interested to know, I will have every single element of the new episode Justice League Dark Cursed on this channel. So take care, guys. We'll see you in the next video.
Oh, thank the gods. You're okay.
Not often you're a sight for sore eyes, but it's good to see you, Constantine. Especially now that we know what's going on. Hecate's taking away magic. Like, all magic.
So that explains the row unfolding in the House of Mystery. Deadman's been cursed, and Etrigan's warded up the place. None of the JLD can get in.
Just once, I wish you'd turn up without a carpet bag of problems.
Be fair, Z. The solution's in the bag, too. Batman's not in the JLD, now is he?
We're walking him through it every step.
Not that he needs it, but of course.
Wow, sounds crazy. Good luck.